Hello Year 6, it's Miss Jobbins here with your SPAG lessons for week 5. As you know, we are going to be focusing on SPAG this week, particularly in those areas that as a year group or as a cohort, which is another word for year group, we struggled with or we just need a bit more revision on from last term, so term 1 or autumn 1's 2017 SPAG paper. These are the key areas that we need to focus on, and also they're so important for our everyday writing, particularly our extended writing, which is our moderation writing that we write up on Fridays. These are basic things that we need to remember and keep revising. Now, as it says on the instructions, we need to remember that you keep revising, particularly using BBC Bite Size or Study Zone. Study Zone is really, really important. And as you know, your teachers have all given you your logins to Study Zone, which can be found inside your yellow revision booklets. So today, Monday, we're going to be focusing on adverbs, adverbial phrases, and fronted adverbials. Adverbs and adverbials being our major focus. So our lesson objective today is to use adverbs, adverbial phrases to modify sentences. Our success criteria, or things that we should be able to do at the end of the lesson, is to use some fronted adverbial, as well as to know that a comma always follows a fronted adverbial. Now, I know, ladies and gentlemen, this may seem very basic to you, but for any person doing any form of revision, it's always useful to remember those little key factors, just like we do with our APE in maths, our answer, proof, explain. We also need to remember P in our reading comprehension as well, our point, evidence, explanation. Just like these, remembering these key little facts in any SPAG or grammar information is always going to be super, super duper helpful in any form of revision. So before we start anything, the first thing I'd like you to do is recap. What is an adverb? What is an adverbial phrase? And what is a fronted adverbial? You could talk to a person in your household, perhaps a parent or carer or a sibling or cousin, whoever you've got staying with you. And also think about on your own, about when and why being our two operative words. When and why might we use these in sentences? Write your ideas in your books or on your paper that you're doing your work on, and then you're going to bring into school, ready to bring into school for us. So have a think. What is an adverbial? What is an adverbial phrase? And what is a fronted adverbial? Please can you pause this video, ready to write those down? Are you going to get it right? Hello, hopefully you've paused this video and you've come back to it now. We're going to now go over what is an adverb. So an adverb is a word that describes a verb, which is an action or doing word. And adverbs often end in ly. So you could have, for example, he ate his breakfast quickly. Quickly being our adverb. Our verb quick, which is an action or doing word, and you've added on ly to create it into an adverb. The word quickly, as I said, is an adverb, so it tells us how he ate, so the verb quick, his breakfast. It's often thought about where to place adverbs. So adverbs can come before or after a verb. So for example, he quickly ate his breakfast, or he ate his breakfast quickly. By changing the place of adverbs in sentences, it makes a piece of writing more interesting to read and for the reader. So, also an adverbial phrase. Now we've heard of these and sometimes we do often get confused with them, but an adverbial phrase is like an adverb. It adds more information to the sentence, but it uses more than one word to describe the verb, so the doing word. For example, the farmer drove the tractor in the evening. So in the evening being the adverbial phrase, as it's adding more than one word to describe the verb. Adverbs and adverbial phrases can describe how, when, or where a verb is done. So how being the bees flew wildly, that ly adverb, whereas when the bees flew all of a sudden, being the adverbial phrase, or where being the bees flew through the air. So they're different types of adverbial phrases. Now, we might also think, ladies and gentlemen, about fronted adverbials. Now, as you can see on the website, which I'll show you towards the end, there are loads of videos to support you in this as well. Before you do the activities on these slides, or before you do the worksheets, I recommend you reading over those or watching those videos and the information on them just to help you. But a fronted adverbial is the following. Adverbials, as we know, are words or phrases that give more information to the sentence. For example, I discovered fronted adverbials earlier today. Earlier today is the adverbial. Earlier today, for example, I discovered fronted adverbials. A fronted adverbial is when the adverbial word or phrase is moved to the front of a sentence before the verb. So, for example, the one I've just read out, earlier today, comma, I discovered fronted adverbials. Our fronted adverbial in this sentence is earlier today. So usually it's where you use an adverb or an adverbial phrase is then put to the front of a sentence with a comma. So, as we know, adverbials give us more information about verbs, adjectives, or other verbs, or even perhaps whole clauses. As you go through the slide, it will ask you to complete the following starters. Please can you complete these in or on your pieces of paper or your workbooks? It will have a number of starters for you to complete. For example, it takes you through, not only in the last slide, it takes you through verbs. It then takes you through adjectives, which are describing words. What other, for example, for this activity, what are the adverbs? So we know they give us more information about our describing words, our adjectives. Could you use to describe how bright this sun is? You could print this picture off and maybe write a number of sentences below it, or you could just bring some ideas and writing starter too. For example, the sun, something bright. Now, as year sixes, we expect you to up-level those sentences. Really think about adding that extra information. As well as that, could you use and challenge yourself not only a dictionary to check your spellings, but could you use a thesaurus to up-level that information, up-level those sentences? We know that adverbs can also give us more information about other adverbs. For example, the dog sat very quietly. Can you use very to modify other adverbs and making sure that you think about your year 6 level vocabulary? Can you write a minimum of 6 sentences? Good luck. As well as that, we know that adverbs can modify whole clauses. So, for example, unfortunately, the school was closed. You could also think about what other adverbs could you use to modify clauses. Could you think about modifying the following adverbs? The school was closed. We then come on to adverbial phrases. Now, I know, as always, I'm not going to read these out to you, but we know that we can also use other phrases rather than single adverbs, so adverbs on their own, to modify sentences, also clauses. These are called adverbial phrases, and adverbial phrases do not usually contain a verb. So you can see the examples here. Can you make your own adverbial phrase to modify this clause? Tom ate his lunch. Can you have a go at maybe writing 5 or 6 of those? If you really want to challenge yourself, can you do 10? For example, Tom ate his lunch like a ninja. Can you add in some adjectives to describe? That was a really rubbish one, but that was me thinking off the top of my head. But can you also add in some adjectives and using a thesaurus to upscale them even further? It will then take us through fronted adverbials. Now, as I explained, we know that this is a complicated name for something very simple. Sometimes an adverb or an adverbial phrase can come before the verb instead of after. And we know, as I said, they always have a comma after them. As it says here, a comma always comes after a fronted adverbial. So as you can see here, instead of our adverbial phrase being at the end of this sentence, we've just swapped it to being at the front and added a comma into it. So we'd like you to now go through the following activities. I will take you through those on the website in just a tick. So you follow these sets of activities, completing the sheets and then either sticking them into your book that you're working in from home, or keeping them, making sure that you write today's date on them and your LO, as well as that, making sure I'd say stapling them or putting them in a plastic poly pocket or a paper clip so you can keep them. Also, please remember to mark them if it's available. If you'd like to, and we would love you to, please take a picture of your work and upload it to Dojo. That would be absolutely fabulous. Once you've done that, we'd like you to identify as a plenary. Perhaps you'd like to write this out in your neatest handwriting, getting a bit of handwriting practice in. Perhaps you'd like to, or you can print this out, we'd like you to identify the adverbs, the adverbial phrases, and the fronted adverbials in this short story. You could perhaps highlight them or write them in different colours. Good luck. So I will now take you very briefly through the activities here. As you know, you've gone onto the website, you've followed my teaching points. We would like you to complete one of the following. Now, each of these are, as you can see, show spicy, extra spicy, or extra, extra spicy. For those of you who'd like that extra challenge, try extra spicy or extra, extra spicy. Follow the instructions on the sheet. Then we'd like you, obviously not printing this page, but to complete the adverbial phrases and fronted adverbial worksheets. Then we'd like you to use the mark scheme to mark them. Please, as I stated, we'd like you to remember to read or watch the following videos and read the following information before you complete the worksheet and before you complete the plenary on our PowerPoint. I wish you all the best of luck and I really look forward to seeing your work. Please remember, any questions, don't hesitate to get in touch with myself, Miss Jobbins, or your class teacher. Best of luck. Bye.